Well, everybody, welcome to the podcast, Wishin' We Were Fishin', with Dustin Clark, Flat Branch Outfitters, and as always,
Matt England from England Expeditions.
Today, we have a very special guest with us, Blake Phillips from Eye Hole Jigs. Welcome, Blake.
How are y'all doing?
Hey, man, I gotta say, I love your product.
Man, thank you.
It is it's something very, very interesting, and I can't wait to hear the backstory on how you came up with it, because as always I say, why didn't I think of that?
That's almost like a slogan when we're talking about Eye Hole Jigs. Everyone that uses them, including my dad, he says it multiple times a week. Possum, why didn't we think of this? I'm like, well, I don't know.
So
yeah, I hear it all the time. It's I think it was a timing thing. I've been trying a long time to make something that would change fishing, and I don't know. I started crappie fishing tournaments with my wife and Reese, and we found that we would catch more crappie if we put these nibbles, little scent nibble things, on the hook. And we did better. We started casting checks, and we were trolling. And she just got frustrated. I would bring mine in, and she wouldn't. She just got frustrated, said she had it on. She wasn't catching fish, and it just had to be a better way, because we would leave them on the deck, and we would try anything to get them to stay on the hook. And she was just frustrated with it. And bottom line is, I was just trying to make my wife happy. And
aren't we all, right?
Oh, yeah. And I actually went home, took a jig head, took my drill press out and drilled a hole through it, and put a nibble in it, and it stayed in there for about, 15, 16 fish.
Wow.
I'm like, oh, no, it's on. So I kept it quiet and figured out how to make them, and still figuring out how to make them.
All right, it's a learning process, huh?
Oh, it's been a learning curve for sure. I've made my share of mistakes, and I'm sure I'll make more of them.
As we all will. Wow, that's awesome. So you were a tournament fisherman? You did local tournaments or what?
Well, I had commercial fish for about 25 years down in Florida, and after the BP oil spill, I was about done with it. I sold my commercial licenses and all but given up, and I thought I was just going to brim fish the rest of my life, and I was bored, and I told Reese I wanted to try these crappie tournaments, and she had never known me to crappie fish. That was something I did with my mama when I was a kid. So I said, well, let me see if I can do it and learn, and we'll see if we can do it. And I actually fished a tournament and won it, and took that money and rolled it into the next tournament, started fishing those national trails. And we cashed like 4 checks that year. And we were on to something for sure. And it wasn't as easy as I thought it was going to be, to tell you the truth.
Right.
I thought it was going to be pretty easy, laid back, and ended up being a lot of work. But didn't even know what a crappie nibble was. I'd used gulp in the saltwater line and the redfish tours and stuff, so I was familiar with gulp. And if you watch my earlier videos, I call everything gulp. But it's power bait, Berkeley power bait. You got crappie magnet slab bites. There's probably about a half dozen or so that make the pellets and stuff, and that work in them. And the gels will stay in longer too. You can put a gel in there and it'll stay in that cavity longer.
Everything stays in that cavity exponentially longer than on the hook. And like Blake was saying about the frustration Reese was having with it falling off the hook, a fish would get one opportunity at it before it falls off the hook. Sometimes it might even hit a branch on the way down. You don't even know that you're missing it. And as Blake spoke before, I too have been using the crappie nibbles, all the scent attractants for a long time, because we know crappie have noses, we know they use them, and what a better way to contain a crappie niblet inside that eye socket, and we'll get into some of the design. But like Blake said, catching 15 and 16 fish on one crappie nibble, filling that shallowed out eye socket from the eye hole jig, and it really keeps a discreet scent trail on your baits, because he was talking about whenever they're trolling them. I troll them as well. We'll get into some of the techniques, but just you're fishing longer, you're fishing with more confidence. That's what Blake was talking about. Reese might get might lose a little confidence when you miss a few fish, but once you start putting a few in the boat, that confidence really builds.
Right. Well, whenever you're fishing down there, you get that bite, you get a hit. You don't know if that nibble's still on there or not, so you got to pull it up, check it, and half the time it's gone. It's gone. So you might as well.
It's gone.
Yeah, and you go.
That's
through.
what Reese hated, man. She goes, I just threw it out there 100 foot. I got to reel it back in.
But ever since I've been on the team now, going into my 4th full season, and it was a game changer from day one. You're not only conserving crappie nibbles, you're fishing longer. The longer you're fishing, the longer your jig's down in there, the more opportunities you're going to have for a hit, for a catch, for a boat flip, for a picture, and something to eat as well. So, I talk to Blake all the time, and we talk about how long those crappie nibbles stay in there. And I still do. I'll still continually put fresh in there. I make sure that thing is full, and then I don't have to worry about it for 35, 45 minutes before I even think about it.
Absolutely.
Well, case in point, I went to Talquin the other day. I was actually testing out some prototypes, and I caught 27 crappie. I used 2 slab bites.
27, yeah.
And I still had it in. I think I could have got away with it. It was about half full. The chamber was after about 15 or 16. And I went ahead, like Matt said, filled it on up. And it's still in there now. I could go to my boat. It'd still be in that jig head.
No, I definitely have them, staying in from previous days. And I just add to it, from Monday's guide trip to Tuesday's guide trip, just reapply, refill up that chamber, and you're ready to go.
Saving time.
Another thing about it that we didn't know, it just happened, is, with that, as y'all can see, that hole in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Without the nibble, it creates an air chamber. It's an air pocket. So when people are live scoping and throw out there, it will create a vapor trail coming down in the water for about 2 to 3 foot. And that vapor trail gives them a better target acquisition going down to the bait. And a lot of the guys they don't put the nibbles in them because for some reason the fish still attack the head. I don't know if it's just because of the air bladder there or what. And you'll see a lot of pictures, they don't even have a nibble in them. And tell you the truth, I don't use the slab bites or nibbles that much anymore either. I mean, unless it's a tough bite, then I'll add it. It's just I'm an impatient fisherman. I'm patient in life, but I'm an impatient fisherman. I want to catch and go.
Like Blake was saying with that shallowed out chamber, it's going to displace a different frequency of water underneath there and have that signature
coming off the head, coming off the head instead of the body, or including the body.
Yeah, so you basically will have, with a shallowed out chamber, you're going to have 2 different ends of your bait displacing water, the head and then the tail section of whatever lure you're using. And honestly, I use a lot of just eye hole jigs and the naked minnow. And I mean, that's just a plain minnow. What that does is, on all the bodies of water that I've ever fished, I'm always finding bait fish. And you find big schools of bait fish, and I'm using minnows. You got to make your bait stand out. And I'm telling you, you fish these eye hole jigs, the crappie nibble, and that is a different scent to that entire school of crappie, and they do seek that one minnow out of the entire bait school. And Dustin, we've seen it on live. We've been on the boat, and I know Blake's experienced the exact same thing. So, it's a multifaceted, multifunctional jig head, like Blake was saying. If you don't have a crappie nibble in there, you're still going to catch fish because of the water displacement. So, we could go ahead and talk about some of the techniques. Maybe Blake can talk about some that he uses down south, and I'm sure I'll cover some of the same that I use up north. And with the entire pro staff of Eye Hole Jig, you know, we all have different strengths and weaknesses, and anyone who fishes is a creature of habit. They always stick with what works, and what Blake does is a little different than what I do. And if you follow Eye Hole Jigs on Facebook, you see some of those huge slabs he's bringing in every day, sending me pictures, making me want to jump in the boat and get to Alabama as soon as possible.
Blake, where at in Alabama are you located?
I'm in Dothan, Alabama. It's in the southeast corner. I'm 18 miles from Georgia and 18 miles from Florida.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Right down here on the border. The river's 18 miles from my house. We split the Chattahoochee River with Georgia. And Georgia owns the river. They control the water. And we go round and round about that, but Georgia does own the river. They won it in court. But it splits the time zone. Alabama side, we call it, I grew up on Eufaula, or Walter F. George, I think they call it in Georgia. We call it Eufaula. And then it goes down, it turns into the Apalachicola River. It does that when it hits the Florida state line. It changes name there. So we have Eufaula coming down, and then it hits Lake Seminole. And Lake Seminole has 3 rivers coming into it. And that river chain going all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico is just nutrients enriched. And that's where a lot of them oysters, well, right now they got the oysters shut down, but that's why the oysters are so good down there. And that's all controlled by Georgia, that water flow coming down. But I'm fortunate to be within an hour of 4 or 5 amazing fisheries for crappie. I'm very fortunate for that.
Do you experience different techniques on different lakes since you're down further south down there that work better than others?
Well, they're all different. You know, like Eufaula, it's more of a reservoir. On the northern end of Eufaula, it fishes more like a river. The baits work no matter wherever you go. They're all the same. The fish are going to be in the bends of the rivers and all that stuff. As far as techniques, I like casting to them. That's my favorite way to do it. I like 16th ounce weight. I've changed to an 1/8 ounce, and I've gone to a 14-foot rod to cast with. Reason being, I found when I was guiding and charter fishing on the flats, I pulled these down. We use longer rods to get more accurate casts. So I can parallel myself to that trolling motor head. I can take that long rod and point it straight down the motor head. So I know it's right in line with my transducer. And when you come straight back and you come straight down that motor head, it's going straight down the center of that beam. And it will land, your jig will come in hot every time. And that's the key, because when you're trying to hit a fish out at 50 foot, you know, you can't be off. You can't, you know, because at 50 foot, you're scanning at about 20 feet, I think, with your live scope. But you can bring that fish in hot by tethering it back and forth, and you can get it hot. Once you get it hot, as soon as you get it hot, if you're ready to go, you can land on that fish and catch it. And with that 14-foot rod, you can actually move your bait if you're off just a little bit, because I'm going towards that fish with my boat. And now I can move that bait to the left, to the right with that long rod, or I can bring it 14 foot forward, or I can drop it straight down. I have more control over that bait now. So right now, that's my number one technique that I'm honing in on, because casting has always been good to me. And this new long rod technique, the accuracy is insane. I couldn't believe it. The hookup ratio was phenomenal. And I think that's where you have to fish like you. I can't fish like Matt. I can't fish like Josh Jones. I don't even, Eric Cagle, he's a great fisherman. I can't fish like him. But when I watch his videos, I watch what he's doing with his hands. I watch the way he reels. I don't look at the screen. I don't care about the screen. When I see a fish, I quit looking at the live scope. I cast to it, then work my bait. I want to feel the fish on the rod. I want to feel the rod load up. I want to feel the change in balance. If you'll watch, I started doing videos from my hands now so people can see what I'm doing with my hands to trigger that strike. Eric Cagle's probably one of the best at triggering strikes out there, and that's why he wins so much. But it's a technique that he picked up. Now, I fished with Brian Rise the other day, and he did it a little different. And he was catching them like crazy. I fished with Brandon Smith, and he did something a little different with his hands. Joe Partenza, he does something different with his. It's a cadence that you have to get comfortable with as a fisherman. But if you keep doing the same thing and expect them to bite it, it's insane. It's just not going to work. I hear everybody, I tried everything. I don't think they did.
No, I doubt they tried everything, right?
No, they didn't try everything. So
when getting back there, whenever Blake was talking about getting that bait to be hot, and he's talking about forward view, actually the Garmin Live Scope technology, getting that fish to have a complete sonar pickup. You know, a lot of times you'll just see, you know, maybe the side of it, but when he's talking about getting that fish in his beam, his Live Scope beam that's projected out there at 20 degrees, once it has the maximum red or whatever color you're using for your return, once that is at its highest intensity, that's whenever you want to have your bait match that fish's intensity. That way you know you're right over it.
Well, I like what you said about finding it on the Garmin, then just fish it like the old ways, and then you feeling it, and because I've noticed when I get out on the Live Scope, I get sometimes just I'm staring at that screen, and Matt, you'll say, all right, stop looking at the screen and
yeah, you know,
fish.
It is such a neat technology, but like Blake was saying, you know, you just got to fish. You know, you're on the fish, you're on the water, you're in the water column. Pay attention to the feel of your rod, set the hook, and make it happen. And like we're talking about that eye hole jig, you know, Blake likes to cast a lot. I pendulum toss. I have a slower presentation. I really like using that pendulum toss to the dead sticking presentation to where that bait comes to a resting stop. And right now on Lake Shelbyville, that's how they're waiting for it to stop. They are chasing the bait and they're waiting for it to stop. They come up and inspect it and they hammer it. You know, it's a great bite right now, but like we say, we all fish to our strengths, and there's a lot of truth to that. You know, I've got a couple little things I do with my hands also. I showed that on one of the videos where I call it like a trigger finger. You know, I want to manipulate the bait, and I want to have that eye hole jig just dancing around and then having a little bit more of that scent come from that eye chamber, and that's usually right then when that bait creates the strike.
That's right. That's exactly right. Very, very true. And, you know, and that's another advantage using those longer rods on your pendulum toss. Because you can go from that, as that fish follows you up, you can go to a dead stick method and dead stick it right over them. Because a lot of times I've found, you know, I can bring that fish in from a longer distance, and then I end up catching him by dead sticking right over him by just tapping, not kind of like tapping the rod, I guess, you know, but it's just a subtle, because I see people doing this all the time. If they could just if they could just imagine the smaller you do it, the better off you are, because it transpires down all the way down. You don't want that bait going, whoa, you know, you just want it just maybe moving, just a shaking, like, you know, you got Parkinson's or something.
Yeah, like a cold chill, like the fish got a cold chill. You know, that's how I do it.
What was that?
I take my finger right off the reel and I have the line on it. And when I want to move a little bit of make a little action with the jig, I just pull that back and I call it like a trigger finger. You know, I just kind of just manipulate it right here. And like like Blake stressed, less is more when you're trying to create subtle action. You know, that bait down there is going to be moving much more than you think. So, you know, everyone's been guilty before of overfishing things. But that's the beauty of this eye hole jig, holding that scent in the eyelet. You don't have to overfish it. And that's what we're talking about, subtle movements, creating that just the most lifelike natural movement that your bait can have, and then having that scent It's just a total game changer, and it has been. And you know, so many people, when they get on my boat, they say, I knew we were using these. I have people taking a few home. They stop at bait stores. They call Blake and they get them sent right to them. So more times than not, if it's the first time someone's ever seen this bait on my boat, they're leaving with some. I always try to give them some to take, and they're all ordering them.
Absolutely. How long have you been in business? When did this all start?
Oh, it seems like a lifetime ago. Not long. About 3 years, I guess. We started going really strong. Um, it it's gotten kind of crazy, taking the truth. If somebody would told me how many of these we got to make a living, I probably wouldn't have done it. I
Ignorance
guess
is
we're
bliss.
about 3 years in now, something like that.
3 years.
It's we bit off more than we can chew, and I guess I can go ahead and tell y'all here. We we've made a partnership with Crappie Magnet and Leland Lures. They're coming to our rescue. We can't keep up. We can't make them as fast enough. They have the years of experience and technology to go ahead and take us to the next level. That, tell you the truth, Reese and I just can't do it. It's just Reese and I. We wear a lot of hats. We make these in our backyard, and it's just, we're very thankful for the support, but it's beyond our capabilities.
Time to move to the next level. I mean, you started and you did it all yourself. I mean, you're, like you said, you're wearing so many hats, the sales side, the promotion side, the research and development. I mean, you guys are pouring these yourselves, right, to start out? Drilling.
Yeah, we do. We handle everything. We have the manufacturing in Warsaw, Missouri. Some of that will move to Arkansas now, because of Leland Lures, and they're in Searcy. I don't know how you say it, Searcy, Arkansas. But
Searcy, Arkansas,
and all that will move to there. But we did everything here. We packaged, painted, cleared, shipped, ordered, stock. Dude, it's been crazy.
Well, congratulations.
It's been fun.
Congratulations. I mean, like I said, you're moving to that next level, and it's a testament to what you've created here. I mean, this is all over. I mean, this is changing the game.
When you talk about innovation, that's exactly what I see when I get to fish this bait. You know, you think about what could you do to have not only your family members, your wife, but everyone catch more fish. And this eye hole jig, the innovation in it, with that shallowed out chamber there in the eyelet to hold those crappie nibs. I mean, my goodness, like it's a true game changer in the sport of fishing. It is my only jig head I use. And I use it for multiple techniques. I like to use it casting. I use it trolling. I'll put this right on there. And like Blake says, he casts. So I'm trolling mine also. I'm trolling this under a 1 ounce bottom bouncer, and we're getting fish, chasing it 20, 30 feet. They're hitting, and finally committing. So, you know, it's a very versatile jig head. You know, I used to fish them when I was targeting walleye. Used to use the eye hole jig, put a little piece of a night crawler on the back of it, and now you have 2 cents coming out there. So, you know, and we caught a lot of sauger and walleye, and we catch a lot of crappie. I think every species on Lake Shelbyville we've caught with the eye hole jig, and that scent enhancement is true testimony to such an innovative product.
Well, they not only have the pill head, but they've also got different styles of heads, right?
Yep, and I'm holding right here the fin spin. That's one of the new ones from Crappie Magnet right there.
Okay, Blake's got the.
So this is our new barb design. We're using the Crappie Magnet double cross barb design.
Okay.
So that will hold your baits without tearing them better. I don't know if you get a good look. This is the hammerhead. Brandon Smith came up with this design, and this flat surfaces, this flat here and this flat here, and then the chamber holds a lot more scent or air, whatever you need. But those flat surfaces give you double the return on live scope.
It really
Let's just
does.
call it live scope, and if you're using Lowrance, call it active target. And if you're using Humminbird, call it what it is. The forward facing sonar is getting so old. It's like I use live scope.
Yeah.
It's not forward facing sonar. That's what it was, and Lowrance just needs to call them. I'm using active target. Everybody's trying to appease everybody, and it's like calling meat protein. Is it pork chop? What kind of protein is it?
And that hammerhead, that hammer jig you're just holding there, that Brandon Smith series, and I attest to it as well. It is a fantastic live scope return. Those sharp edges, that blunt front of that head, because a lot of times
that's changing water too.
And
Poison water.
And I am going to do something I've yet to do. I've just got this thought sitting here right now. I'm going to fill one chamber, and I'm going to leave one chamber open. I'm going to displace more water. I'm going to have the scent in the head. I'm going to have the tail action producing more water displacement. So that's going to be something we'll do live, and we'll see if that can't. We might have just came up with something right there.
You did. That is. I mean, that's moving water. Yeah.
Here's the new minnow head. I don't know if you can get the.
Yep.
It also has that double crossbar design, but it has a concave going into the hole, so you can actually pack it in more and come in off the side of it too if you want. So that's the new minnow head design there. And see how clean he's been able to make our round heads now. He was able to take us to the next level, or everything, and we're very blessed to have Jeff step in and help us like this.
You're teaming up with a good partner.
He's a good man, good Christian, good Christian faith-based company, and we're truly blessed. He's here to help us, and it's genuine, and it's a good thing. I think more people are going to get it. Here's the best thing about it. The cost is coming down.
What's that?
The cost is coming down.
On the jigs?
On the jigs. I couldn't do, because we're doing it in our backyard and our costs are insane. They'll be $3.99 a pack now.
Oh, wow.
$4.95. So we were able to get our costs down enough to be able to sell them to Dick's Sporting Goods, Bass Pro, Academy, Walmart, and everybody else, and all our local shops. Their price point will come way down for them too.
Amazing.
So
that's amazing.
With his help, we've been able to achieve what we've been, to help more people have an affordable product that they can catch more fish with. And he has the same mission and goal as we do. We want to help more people catch more fish, period. If our products don't help you catch fish, then our products are useless.
Well, I can attest they will help you catch more fish. And I can't get over to hear that it's going to be $1.05 cheaper per pack. And times like this, let's just say you buy 4 packs, you got one free. So like you're saving 25% and getting the same bait.
You're actually getting one more jig. There'll be 5 in the 8s now. There'll be 5 in everything.
Oh, that's terrific.
Well, not only is it saving money there, but you're also saving money with these crappie nibbles. I mean, how many do you used to go through, and now you're catching more fish, and wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, I can fish two nibbles in a day, or slab bites in a day, maybe 2. I mean, I forget to put them in there. It's just I hate it for the nibble business. But, seriously, you can buy a jar. If you're a normal fisherman, it'll probably last you all year.
Yeah, if you got stock in crappie nibbles, you better sell now.
Well, I think that's why Berkeley, Hank Parker, he thought this was the most amazing idea he'd ever seen. And he went to bat to Berkeley with us. And that's when I reached out to Jeff for help. I didn't know what to do. And by Jeff stepping in and helping us, we get to keep Eye Hole Jig. It's still Reese and I. We're still the face of it. You still call us. but they'll be handling all the distribution, the manufacturing, the shipping, the online, everything will go through them. You'll still go to iholejig.com. It's just going to direct you to the Eye Hole Jig section at Crappie Magnet. So everything's staying the same. You still get, I still care about every fish caught. I really fish vicariously through everybody. And this is just, I don't know, it's just a dream come true. I don't know I'm very blessed. I'm very blessed. I'm undeserving of it. And I'm very fortunate to be doing what I'm doing now. I'm just blessed and thankful. I really am.
Well, I'm thankful as well that you came up with the idea, because I'm not going to be generic with the word, but innovation. Every jig head, 99% of the jig heads out on the market is going to be the same. They're going to have similar styles, but this is the only one with the chambers where you can fill it full of crappie nibbles. And like Blake was saying earlier, when I've been catching multiple fish on the same nibble, I don't even touch it. The only time I'm going to refill that is usually if I'm getting on the big motor and I'm going to change and go to a whole new location on a whole new body, a whole new school of fish.
Yeah, it does. People have different techniques and all that. And some people don't use scent, and that's fine too. You can still use the jig head. It still catches fish. We've proven that. And it's just an amazing thing, dude. I don't know how else to describe it. It just trigger strikes, and I was just very fortunate, right place at the right time. And we put everything we've known into this, 20-hour days for the past few years, trying to make it better and better and better. And it just works. And that's just a blessing. I have no other thing about it. It was given to me by God.
Absolutely. Well, I love this conversation we're having here. You sound like a man of faith, and you're partnering up with another man of faith, is what you said. One thing that I am trying to bring together is good people along with good products. It has to be a whole. You have to have both. You can't be a bad person and have a great product, or vice versa. That's what we're trying to do, is put people and products all together.
And another really valuable thing I've learned here on this eye hole jig is how to pair my eye hole jig with the lure that I'm using right now. Like the one I'm holding up right here is a 24th ounce right there, 1/24th, and I've got that with the 1-inch little Charlie Brewer slider. I'm going to size my profile up, my jig head weight with my profile increasing. That way I have the hook right in the middle of the bait. So I'm using from 24th, 32nd, 16th, 8th, and a quarter. I've caught my personal best. I've broke my personal best. I'm going to break my personal best again here real soon, all on the eye hole jig. It's the only one I put down there. And a lot of it's confidence. It's not only a proven fish catcher, it's just a confidence booster. I see a lot of pictures with people without the eyes filled up. So up here up north, every guide trip, I'm filling those crappie nibbles up. So I would like to challenge everyone to fish them clean first, get that extra water displacement, and then fish with it packed. Have multiple rods going. Have one with the nibbles in, have one with the nibbles out, and see what is working better that day.
Absolutely.
We ought to have a one slab bite challenge. How many fish can you catch on one slab bite? And whoever catches the most, I'll give them a autographed signed $100 bill from Ronnie Capps.
Hey, that sounds all right. We're going to have
I actually have an autographed $100 bill, Ronnie Capps. I keep in my wallet.
Is that right? We'll see if we can't put something
you
together.
Do it on your page there. Have the one slab bite challenge. You got to use a slab bite.
Okay. Let's do it.
Whoever catches the most fish in one bite, they'll get the thing. Y'all figure out the details on the tie.
We'll do it. We'll do it.
Yeah, I'll do $100 signed autograph bill from Ronnie Caps.
Well,
Says good luck on it.
and that's one of the for everyone. I'm sure everyone in the crappie fishing world knows that's one of the best anglers on the planet.
He's the GOAT. Him and Steve are the GOATs.
Yep.
I don't. You got a lot of new guys. Those guys did it. They did it the hard way, and they're good.
Yep.
That's who I when I was tournament fishing, I learned a lot from them, and all I did was focus on beating them. And by focusing on beating that one team, we were able to cash a lot of checks. And it took 3 years, but I finally got them. I think I came in third, they came in fourth, but them guys can fish.
Yeah, they're machines, like you say. You know, they were winning before live scope, consistently putting the time on the water. So the guys he's talking about are just phenomenal fishermen, just like Blake. Don't let Blake undersell himself by saying getting lucky. You don't get lucky by sending me pictures weekly of the fish that he catches. So we are very blessed to have him on here and getting the knowledge, you know, the backstory. That's how neat's that.
Yeah,
You invention's the mother of necessity, something like that. You know, and to have that vision, and then to have a proven bait on the market that stands alone on the shelf. You know, that eye hole jig is the only one that's going to look like that, and I don't care where you're shopping. You know, check them out, get your favorite, most comfortable weight that you typically use, and I promise you will catch more fish with the eye hole jig.
Absolutely. You introduced me to them. As soon as we got off the boat, I went and bought every pack that they had at the
at Cheryl's there, at Craig's. Yep,
exactly.
Craig's Sporting Goods.
I like Cheryl.
Yeah,
I like all your stores up there.
Oh,
I like
yeah,
talking to all of them. I like Joanne.
Sure.
Was it Mike's Tackle World?
Mike's Tackle World in Decatur,
Oh,
Illinois.
That is something.
Somebody needs to go up there and take Joanne fishing. She hasn't been fishing since her husband died.
Oh.
And I talked to her. She misses fishing so much. So some of y'all need to get her when the weather's right. Take her fishing.
I might have to stop in there and see. She works every day of every week, but I might have to pull her after hours and get her out there. And I know that
she is. That's all y'all. I mean, Illinois. I've loved all the customers up there. Y'all got some great people. And I was born in Indiana, and right up there. But I got out of there early enough not to experience too much cold. But the people of Illinois have just overwhelmingly accepted us, and Matt England, you're the big part of that. And I wish I had one of you in every state. But you're an honest fisherman. Your passion is true, and it comes out. People see it, and the people of Illinois, they really like you, Matt, and I think that's awesome. You must sleep good at night.
Well, I'm sleeping better as the years go on, but yes, thank you. That's a tremendous compliment. But the very first time we spoke on the phone, he's like, "Hey, I'm going to send you some jigs. I want you to try them out." And it was day one. I'm in. I'm all in. It was.
Didn't I send you a message on Messenger?
Yep.
Yeah, you want to hear the funny story about it?
Yeah.
It was England Expeditions. And I'd seen it on thing. I didn't watch England Expeditions. Man, I want to send something to England. So I sent a message to England. I thought I was going to England. And old man calls me. I'm like, whoops.
Didn't quite have the right accent.
That was dude. We've been buddies and partners since.
Ever since day one.
I really thought we were shipping to England.
That is hilarious.
And he called me. He said, you have a unique accent. I mean, like I do down here. So I was talking to him. I was like, man, that sounds like an American number. I said, where's this going? I said, you want to send me your address? And I was expecting this weird address and all that.
Oh my!
Regular old United States.
I laughed. It's me and Reese laugh about that to this day. Oh my!
Yeah.
But, It was meant to be.
That's
I mean,
right.
my gosh, man.
It's funny how you just seem to meet the right people, and the right people come into your lives at the right time.
It's
Absolutely.
that's what I'm saying. Everything about this is meant to be. My mama preached patience growing up fishing with me all the time. Patience, patience, patience. And I think this was what she was talking about. Don't give up. Have patience in your dreams. And when the time's right, it'll happen. And everything. I'm getting chills right
Mm.
now just talking about my mama. But it was just the timing. The timing was right. The crappie industry just happened to be exploding right when I got into it. COVID hit at the perfect thing. It was the perfect storm. Everything, the timing was just perfect. And the growth rate has been insane. We've done it with our hearts and our souls, and people have seen it. Like with you, Matt, they see your true self, and that's what America wants. That's what America needs. Um, and they've just shown their love for us, and they made it where we just couldn't handle it anymore, and I'm thankful for it.
Yeah, you talk about timing, but if you didn't have that perseverance, you stuck with it, you
Right.
believed in it, you did everything, you sacrificed just like everyone does to have a successful business, and now you're able to eliminate some of those all those day to day responsibilities in some aspects by hooking up with crappie magnet, let them have it, and you really, I'm
Enjoy some of the fruits of your labor.
yeah, I'm very honored to be on the team. I'm honored to call you my friend. I can't believe it took this long for someone to come up with this. I say that all the time. It's just innovation, innovation, innovation.
Well, Blake,
Well, I mean, it was just like I said, it happened for a reason. And I get it a lot of time. Well, I thought about that. I've been doing it for years. I mean, well, they didn't move forward with it, I guess. I don't know. I'd never heard of it. I was just trying something new. So it was just timing. And then I was blessed that my son, he's a CPA. So he was able to handle accounting. My other son, he was able to take over my other business. So it freed up my time to focus 100% towards the jig. And Reese kept her day job. And then she ships in the afternoons. Um, and I started working, I guess, about 4 in the mornings, and I quit somewhere around 10, 11 at night
Hmm.
for about 2 years. I basically became a ghost. Um, you see me pop in, pop out, and basically just share stuff on Facebook. But I had to commit everything to make this happen. There was nothing easy about this. I promise you that. Um, to make a living at this, you have to sell and manufacture. To do it in your backyard, you have to do about 250,000 jigs,
Wow.
or you have to sell about 50,000 packs. To go to the next level, I mean, you'd have to get another facility and everything else, and it's just pushing the level. Then you got to sell another 250,000, so you're looking at about 500,000 jigs. And it's just impossible to do in your backyard. Um, so timing's everything, because we had just reached a point where, well, here's a case in point. We have 1 day left to file for our patent. And Jeff called me, and we had met. I drove to Arkansas and met. And so he had his patent attorney. He says, man, we got to do this today. And I'd use these cheaper attorneys for the patent stuff. And, Jeff knew somebody, and he was able to get it filed. So now we will be published in the next month. So everything was able to move, but it was a timing thing. It had to be filed that day. Everything with the patent stuff's been that day, different attorney that day. But now it's going to be published and everything. So everything looks great as far as that end of it. But it was a timing thing. Everything's a timing thing. Time and run it, Jeff. And that's with fishing. Because, Matt, you can pull up to a spot and not catch a fish. And I can pull up that same spot an hour later and sit there and just whack, 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 whack. It was time for me to catch those fish. It just wasn't time for you to catch those fish.
Yep, that's right. Timing is everything. We only have so much time. We got to make the most of it. And when you're on the water, what will help you make the most of your day is the eye hole jig. You know, it just helps you catch more fish, point blank, period. If like Blake spoke earlier, and people say they tried everything, they probably didn't. You know, you can have great days, and you had days you got to work a little harder, but you know, having this extra benefit of having the crappie nibble, stay in there, fishing with confidence, fishing longer with each pellet, you know, and you're not having to reapply it. You don't spill them all over the boat. But the most important thing is having that secretion of that scent being a consistent trail whenever that bait's moving. And when it comes to a stop, a lot of those big fish come right up underneath it and they inspect it. You know, a big fish doesn't get that big, you know, just by being lucky. You know, they might have been stuck before. They might have had a jig in their mouth. But that crappie nibble, whatever scent you're using and putting it in there, it just gives those fish that much more confidence that that's a live bait, and it's a game changer.
Well, talking about,
I think one of your keys. I'm sorry. I think one of your keys that you went back to on the different sizes and stuff. You got to match the hatch. You got to be the size of what the fish are eating. In the winter times, I found it to be smaller baits, subtle baits, like smaller insects and duller colors, blacks and whites and duller colors. In the summertime, a little bit brighter colors because of the dragonflies, the bees, the wasps, the mayflies. The mayflies are out. Go with a browner color. Kind of, you look around what's in the sky, because people think just about what's in the water, but the crappie eat everything that falls out of the sky. And people don't think about that, because a lot of times you'll see a crappie hit a lead weight.
Absolutely.
You know, nothing there. It's just a round lead weight. To me, I think maybe it's a beetle floating down. They know it's protein.
Right.
They're eating insects, and that's why, like with your pendulum toss, you know, it's kind of like an insect kind of floating down in the water. Does that kind of make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because your current's kind of carrying it down, and if you're coming up the right direction of the current, your pendulum toss is like an insect floating down there.
Yep. A really controlled drop.
Yeah, it's just, you know, I think people need to think besides just minnows. You know, like, what's the size of your shad right now?
Mm-hmm.
Put your bait next to the bait. You know, if you got bait down there, put your bait next to the bait. If your bait's bigger than the bait on the live scope, put on a smaller bait.
Match the hatch.
And match that hatch. And
Yep.
I think your catch ratio will go up if that helps anybody. And then eliminate a lot of water really quick. I mean, just go to the bends in the creeks or the bends in the rivers. You know, this time of year, they're going to be at the mouths out there by the main river. It's cold. That's where they're going to be. They'll be shallow too, but they'll be somewhere along that creek channel. Wherever it bends or breaks or wherever, they're going to be somewhere on that. You know, so you can eliminate a lot of water, you know, by fishing those bends and points on the downward side, on the eddy side. If that helps, I don't know.
Yeah, and like the eddy side, meaning like the slack water side. You know, that's you know, for everybody that doesn't know what the eddy would be, but that'd be like the slack water, a little stiller water, and those crappie are in there, ambush and prey.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They'll be sitting right on the edge of it.
Right on the edge of it.
I mean, they'll be right on the edge of it.
And
then if you got mud in your lakes, go to the mud. But crappie love mud bottoms. I learned that from Steve Coleman and Brandon Smith. Brandon Smith barely fishes over 8 foot deep, you know, but he's fishing the mud. So like if you go to a new lake, pull up Google Earth and you can actually see the lake and just see the green water and all that stuff. And then when you see mud in a creek, start at those creeks. You know, if it's wintertime, they're going to be at the mouth of that creek. If it's springtime, they're going to be working towards the back, towards that mud. So from Google Earth, you can see the mud and then you already know kind of where to start. And then you take the time of the season or where they'll be located. Like Talquin right now, they're at the lower lake. You can catch them from one end to the other. But the mass quantity of fish are in the mid to lower lake by the dam. We've had a lot of rain. It's pulling a lot of water down. It's pulling all the bait down. But still, I'm fishing the eddies and the points off the main river channel. It's just underwater.
And
I eliminate a lot of water and just go because that's where the fish are going to be right now, and that should be true throughout the whole country.
it is. And to touch on Blake's muddy water fishing with the crappie holding in there, sometimes that's going to be a little warmer water. But another featured benefit of the eye hole jig is, those crappie, they can't see a great distance in that muddy water. So put it right there on their nose. They smell it. They hit it.
Oh, it's very true. I've gotten a lot better at getting the fish off the mud. But you can once if you're using live scope or something else too, and you're out fishing, another good thing to do is find you a school of fish, and then just follow them. Stay back a distance and just follow those fish, and watch them. Watch their behavior. Follow them for an hour. See when they stop and sit. If you get impatient, catch one. Then watch what the school does. And watch them. And then eventually they're going to go somewhere and settle down. And then when they settle down, look at your maps and all that, where the fish settle down. And then you can go with another pattern just like that. And you put that in your little log book. These fish were going down the river channel. They went up this point and they sat down in the mud right next to this stump that was falling over like this. So next time you see a point that has a stump falling over like that, to look at it.
And that's so true up here.
Fish wanted to be.
That's so true up here. That's a lot of the ways that I target the fish. I'm looking for those fish right off the bottom. And we have a lot of break-offs. I have a lot of stumps in Shelbyville and Decatur. But I've just started really focusing on the mud. I pulled a 136 out of the mud here last week, and for all of us up here in Illinois, if you catch a 136, you're going to tell your friend.
Yeah.
I was very happy for that fish. But it was one of those that came from the mud right up to it and just hammered the bait. So we're learning a lot as time goes on, especially with the live scope. A lot of the things I thought were a reason weren't, and I was right on a few of them. And one of them is not a lot of people associate the crappie going and burying themselves in that mud, but boy, I'll tell you what, they do it every day.
They do it for protection. They do it for current. They got food down there. They got all those crustaceans down there, all those little microorganisms. They got everything they need right there. And they can warm themselves. They can cool themselves. They can get out of the current. They can be protected. Another thing like crappie use, if you don't have mud in your area, they'll use a stiff, straight cliff as cover. They'll get right up next to it. They'll use that for that side cover.
That's right. Yeah, that's what I talk about a lot of times is I do consider a really steep drop-off cover. Because if the fish are holding on it, there's a reason, and they are secure there. And I call it cover. I call it a structure is what I call it. That steep drop-off, I call it a structure. And I 100% in compliance with what Blake said about that.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, guys, this has been so informational. I'm just sitting over here just trying to take it all in. Blake, I appreciate your time and all your information and knowledge. I'd love to have you back on and maybe make this more of a thing where we could do it more often.
Oh yeah, whatever I can do for y'all. I appreciate everything. I appreciate what y'all are doing, and Matt for sure. You're a great guy, Matt, and we're fortunate to have you in the industry.
Well, I appreciate it. This just makes my job easier. It makes my pastime more enjoyable. I got little Teddy out there, my 6-year-old, flipping eye hole jigs, catching crappie. That's what it's all about. Trying to continue this, pass this legacy on to the next generation, and this eye hole jig's here to stay, and it's here to help everyone catch more fish.
Oh yeah, it's all Reese's fault.
Well, we can blame or thank her, and I'll thank her.
Yes.
Yeah, it's funny. We always say it's Reese's fault, but she's the reason.
Well, congratulations on this next chapter. Excited to watch, and like I said, I want to have you back on, and we can talk more tips, tricks, strategies from the master Blake Phillips.
No, I ain't no master.
All
No, far from that. Thank y'all so much.
right,
Hey,
guys.
thanks, Blake. Really appreciate everything.
Matt, why don't you
Thank
take us
y'all.
out, buddy?
Hey, this is Matt, Dustin, and Blake here from the Flat Branch Outfitters, Wishing We Were Fishing podcast. As we always say, come to Lake with a positive attitude, leave Lake with a positive attitude, and introduce young adult to this beautiful sport of fishing and keep that legacy going. This is Matt England from Eagle Expeditions, signing out.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.